Greetings to Tuesday Thoughts here on Soccer's Morning Show, which is Soccer's afternoon show for an hour, power hour here on a Tuesday. Appointments this morning, and everything's cool. Everything's going forward. And we're here to kind of break down the news of the morning, what we've missed, get you ready for what's going on tonight. Early word out of Nashville to anyone. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with Lucas Panzica, the play-by-play voice of Nashville SC tomorrow, and find out what happened with the boys in gold. If you, attender/spectator at Geodis Park, wish to hop onto the field and hang out for a little bit, sit there, maybe get a picture taken, something like that, $15,000 fine. Nashville has made that clear on their social media. So if you plan to do something like that, just make sure that you got at least $15,000 in the bank. Otherwise, you're in serious trouble. So obviously it's and since it's official, so it's official. You've got that going on tonight. We've got Leagues Cup. And getting into juice boxes, there's a lot of stuff going on this afternoon. You've got European qualifying going on. You've got activity off my left shoulder from our friends at Paramount Plus. There's a lot to keep an eye on tonight. And later this afternoon, after the power hour, you'll get our episodic programming, USL League One. That will be up and running. The weekend review will be up. The weekend review of USL Championship will be up and running. And MLS Next Pro's weekend review will be up and running. So you'll have those 3 episodes of our weekly programming coming up later today as well. So plenty to go over the morning and plenty of news to get into for this afternoon. Al Hilal has made it official with a very, very shiny video promoting the fact that Neymar is now officially part of Al Hilal. He said 2 sentences and pointed to his crest of the jersey he was wearing. Apparently, the salary figures are 2 years and right in line, apparently, with CR38. So we'll see what happens there. Apparently, Al Ittifaq, our friends there, Jordan Henderson and Steve Gerrard, they got off to the quality start that they were looking for. They got a win out of the blocks. And I'm still not going to be watching any of the Saudi Pro League. Maybe just to get a good laugh out of it. We'll talk about it, but we're not going to be watching it. So there will not be any kind of Saudi Pro League down here as we look through things. To kind of set up the rest of your day, what you could be watching and where you could be watching it. Marseille and Panathinaikos is set for 3 o'clock on 2TN. Nashville and Monterrey is set for 9:30 tonight. On 2TN. Unimas is your simulcaster, and keep an eye on that. So Unimas, 2TN, Apple TV. You've got both semifinals. Philadelphia and Inter Miami is at 7. Nashville Monterrey is at 9:30. On the Plus, busy day in the lower divisions in England. See, I can't do it like Jason does. Busy day in the lower divisions in England. League One, Portsmouth and Exeter Cities at 3. Fox Soccer Plus as the Central American Cup at 6, Universitario and Yokoro. And right now, obviously, Paramount Plus, 3rd qualifying round. Maccabi Haifa, Slovan Bratislava is going on. Sparta Prague, FC Copenhagen, and that one is off over the left shoulder. Starting now, Galatasaray and Olympia Sturm Graz and PSV. Tonight in the Brasileiro, Atletico Paranaense, and Cuiabá is at 7 o'clock. 89th minute goal by Spain sends them through to the final. And it will be either against Australia or England. And folks in Australia decided that they were going to spy on England. From our friends at PA Media, the Daily Telegraph newspaper in Sydney sent up a helicopter, promoted it. Hey, we're sending up a helicopter to see what's going on. Newspaper sent up the aircraft to capture images from the Lionesses' behind closed-door session at their training base as they finalize plans for the semifinal against the co-hosts early morning tomorrow. Published under the headline, quote, 11 Palms against the nation. Welcome to the Jungle Lionesses. The picture has Serena Wiegmann and her staff putting players through their paces before the second semifinal. Here's what the newspaper wrote. If England's Lionesses thought they would happily fly into the World Cup semifinal under the radar, they were in for a rude shock. We've sent the chopper up to see how the old enemy are preparing. Welcome to the jungle, Lionesses. We've got fun and games. Okay, so we're going to be quoting Guns N' Roses. It might not be in the spirit of football, but after last month's men's Ashes cricket series, we will let the moral arbiters England pass judgment on what is and isn't acceptable in the world of sport. And the FA has declined comment on the situation. Sold-out stadium in Sydney, Stadium Australia. Wiegman and her players brushed aside the idea of the Ashes element netball World Cup, an old enemy. Once again, PA says, although back at home, memories of Alex Carey's controversial stumping of Johnny Bairstow in the second test at Lord's, which prompted booing and chants of same old Aussies always cheating throughout the remainder of the series, are still fresh in the collective mind. So you've got that. Italian Football TV says Antonio Conte has overtaken Spalletti for the Azzurri job. FIGC, according to our friends at Italian Football TV, FIGC have no intention of paying the €3 million release clause to Napoli for Spalletti, according to Sport Mediaset. Antonio De Laurentiis released a statement earlier today where he says, out of principle, he wants it to be paid. So we're keeping an eye on that as a part of all of this. Your traffic for the week is as follows. Tomorrow, back at it at 9:05. Like I said, hopefully we'll have Lucas Panzica fresh off of the late semifinal. Then hopefully we can have Dylan Butler come in at 10 o'clock and Bart Keeler for his Wednesday visit. And we can have reffing down here and talk about Women's World Cup and all those kinds of things and go over Bart's travel and his travelogue from the time that he was there. The news that is drifting in and out outside of a couple of basic storylines. We'll get into other things. Athletic. Kevin De Bruyne suffers a serious injury and could face surgery. He may not be able to play until 2024. Had a scan Monday to determine the extent of a hamstring injury picked up in the win over Burnley at Turf Moor on Friday Night Football. Withdrawn 23 minutes into the match. And it's the same hamstring that he was forced off from the Champions League final against Inter Milan. Speaking ahead of the Super Cup meeting with Sevilla in Athens, Pep Guardiola revealed he could now face surgery. Guardiola confirming, quote, it's a serious injury, have to decide on surgery, but he'll be out for a few months. Decision over that's expected to come in the next few days, but Pep fears 3 or 4 months without one of his star players. Made his first appearance since the injury during Community Shield as a second-half sub. Traveled with City for the preseason tour of Asia, but didn't feature. City faced Sevilla Wednesday before hosting Newcastle United on Saturday in the Prem. So we've got that news with Kevin De Bruyne. Arsenal have signed David Raya from Brentford. Joins initially on a season-long loan with the option to make the move permanent next summer. Initial £3 million loan fee activating the option would be for another 27. So basically 10% down and the other 90% at the end of the year. Bayern Munich had explored a similar deal with Brentford, according to The Athletic, but the player only wanted to join Arsenal, where he can reunite with his former goalkeeping coach, Iñaki Kana. Raya had 1 year left on his deal with Brentford, but has signed a new 2-year deal, club option for an additional 12 months ahead of going out on loan. So David Raya on loan to Arsenal could be picked up for another $27 million after that. Chelsea expect to complete the Michael Olise transfer from Crystal Palace. Chelsea are believed to have activated, this is from David Ornstein, the £35 million release clause in the contract. West London club now expected to complete the signing. 21-year-old French U21 international would join a couple of new dudes, currently sidelined after tearing his hamstring at the U21 Euros, which could prevent him from playing until the end of September. Oli signed for Palace on a 5-year deal from Reading back in 2021. Really done well for Roy Hodgson. Players' player of the season, club's goal of the season, honors first Palace player ever to claim 10 or more assists, youngest ever to claim 3 assists from open play in a single Premier League match. 11 assists rank him 4th in the division. Chelsea have spent, tell me if you've heard this before. Chelsea have spent heavily in the summer transfer window, with Moises Caicedo's British record £115 million arrival on Monday taking their outlay to more than £275 million. Color me shocked. The PGMOL and Gary O'Neill, and here's a question for you as a part of this. Wolves head coach Gary O'Neill says he received an apology from the PGMOL's Jonathan Moss following the failure to award his side a penalty in the loss to Manchester United. Andre Onana collided with Sasha Kaladzic. Second half stoppage time as he attempted to claim a cross. Wasn't penalized for the exchange and for the challenge. Incident checked by VAR. Ref Simon Hooper was not ordered to consult the monitor. O'Neill was then shown a yellow by Hooper for his protests. Wolves head coach said former PL ref Moss, now the select Group 1 manager at the PGMOL, admitted the incorrect decision was made. Quote, I was told live they didn't think it was a clear and obvious error, but having just spoken to Jonathan Moss and fair play to him for coming straight out, he apologized, said it was a blatant penalty, should have been given. I sometimes feel bad because he's come out and been honest. I spent a lot of time with him today, gave up most of my afternoon trying to understand the new guidelines, trying not to get myself booked in the first game with the new guidelines, which I failed in. Fair play to Jonathan for coming out saying it was a clear and obvious error. He can't believe the on-field referee didn't give it, and he can't believe VAR didn't intervene. Wolves were on the receiving end of a number of apologies from PGMOL. Chief Refereeing Officer Howard Webb last season notably saw the FA Cup third-round winner against Liverpool disallowed as VAR did not have the correct images to judge the angle of the offside. On Hooper not being told to consult the monitor, O'Neill added, quote, I understand it, sticking with the on-field decision as much as possible, but I don't accept it fully. I think the on-field referee is really a difficult decision for them, so we can't just leave it because they, meaning VAR, have said no. Erik ten Hag admitted the decision to not award a penalty could be debated, but that ultimately the correct call was made. Quote, he told BBC Sport. After the opponent touched the ball, he dived in, so it was the judgment of the officials. Unlucky for us, no penalty. I think you can debate it, but I think no penalty, end quote. Rafael Varane scores on a second-half header. Match was O'Neill's first in charge after taking over for Julian Lopetegui, who was released after 9 months because he was not happy with the lack of incomings getting ready for the 2023 season. United Saturday night, they go to Spurs. Wolves welcome Brighton to the Molineux earlier in the day. So PGMOL apologizes to O'Neill. You lose, and it doesn't help. Transfer news. This came across before we came on this afternoon. The LA Galaxy have signed former Sheffield United striker Billy Sharp. Tom Bogert and Kate Berlaga. That's a free, so it's something LAG can do. Signed a contract till the end of the 23 season with an option for 24. 37. Sharp left Sheffield United this summer after joining for a third spell in 2015, guiding the club from England's third tier to the Premier League. 37 championship matches, mostly from the bench. Contract expired, was not renewed. Greg Vanny. Billy's an accomplished striker who brings experience, leadership, and proven goal-scoring pedigree. Pleased to add a player Billy's caliber to the team for the stretch run of the season, end quote. 129 goals in 377 appearances. This is attacking depth. I don't anticipate that you're going to see Billy Sharp starting every day. Joveljic, Judd, two natural options at center forward. Sharp now gives you a third. And remember, you can sign free agents until September 13th. which is what LAG can do. They can only sign domestic players this summer due to transfer sanctions, but once the summer window closed August 2, they can sign free agents until the 13th of September. So that's where LAG are coming from here. 7 points behind the final playoff spot in the West. Added Diego Fagundes, Mayo Yoshida, Edwin Cerrillo, Michael Barrios, and Tony Alfaro this summer. So that's what you've got with LAG. That one came across as a bit of a surprise earlier this afternoon. This one I thought was interesting. Came from our friend Joshua Clokey at The Athletic. We all know that Toronto FC is in a world of hurt. So, Red Stars are looking for a manager. Copenhagen, by the way, leading at 1-0 in the 53rd, up 1-0 in aggregate. So, Canada, obviously Toronto FC, like I said, Toronto FC is looking for a new coach. Guess who has emerged as a possibility to take over for Toronto FC's vacant head coaching gig? John Herdman, who probably just changed his mind again on his tactics. Changed his mind on his tactics going into the conversation in the discussions, probably changed his mind again. Not believed to have had a formal interview for the position. Multiple sources familiar with the hiring process, probably those close to Herdman, told The Athletic he's had informal conversations with TFC about what the job entails. Multiple sources told The Athletic Bobby Smirnionis, head coach of Forge FC, and current DC United assistant Carl Robinson are among other prospective coaches who've had formal interviews for the position. Toronto FC has been without a permanent head coach since parting ways with Bob Bradley back at the end of June. Terry Dunfield has served as an interim since then. Jason Hernandez is sporting director. Herdman's contract runs through the 2026 World Cup, according to former Canada Soccer General Secretary Earl Cochran. John Herdman allegedly, possibly, probably interested in the Toronto FC gig. That is interesting. It makes you wonder if Herdman is interested in the Toronto FC gig. Why are you kicking the tires on that when you're supposedly coaching a national team that's heading into a world competition in this hemisphere in 3 years? Clokey posits the following. The opportunity to build TFC back to its former glory would be appealing for any prospective head coach. TFC's owners, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, remain among the highest spenders in Major League Soccer. Herdman would have the kind of consistent financial resources at his disposal that he doesn't always enjoy with Canada Soccer. How about never? Which continues to operate in dire financial straits. Prime chance for Herdman to prove himself at the club level. For TFC, it would be a recognized name that would raise the interest level in the club locally after a horrendous season. That's Clokey's words. Makes sense. TFC president Bill Manning has never shied away from his intentions to make the team a destination for national team players ahead of 26. Prying Herdman away from Canada Soccer could be a step in that direction. Would Herdman leave before the 26 World Cup? Has experience with World Cup on home soil, having coached the Canada women's national team in 2015. Clokey says it's worth asking whether recent results have changed the outlook for Herdman with less than 3 years to go before the World Cup. Furthermore, Herdman has recently been openly critical of Canada Soccer and its lack of financial resources. Quote, "We're not serious," Herdman said of Canada Soccer after the Nations League final. Quote, "We brought a World Cup to our country and we're not serious about winning it," end quote. Clokey adds, Canada Soccer's poor financial state meant that the men's team could not afford to book any friendlies in the upcoming September international window. Could not book any friendlies in the window. Matthew Cianidi at TSN last night confirms what Joshua Cloakey is hearing. Herdman and Bobby Smirnionis have interviewed. Sources also say Bill Manning has put no timeline on filling the position. Smirnionis is from Scarborough, has been with Forge since 2018. He's made them a CPL Forge, a force. 3-10-11, second to last in the East. So Cianidi confirms what Cloakey has been hearing. So you get that from both TSN and from The Athletic. It would be interesting if, in fact, panic time, Rich, exactly. It would be interesting if John Herdman decides he wants to jet from Canada Soccer and he wants to go coach TFC. There are other internal aspects of the Bobby Smirniotis relationship with organizations and conflicts and things like that involving Toronto FC, NLSC, outside organizations, all that kind of stuff. But you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it from the idea that John Herdman is fed up with what is not happening with Canada Soccer Business and the men's program. And it also gives them, meaning Canada Soccer, gives them another couple of seasons to figure out, maybe you put Bobby Smirniotis in that situation. Since Smirniotis, with his time at Forge, is a benefactor of the deal that Canada Soccer Business has put together with Canada Soccer. Maybe that's how this goes. But is John Herdman that fed up? Personally, I think you could do better than John Herdman, because if you look back at the World Cup, and there were times where John Herdman looked completely and totally out of his element. Changing tactics, saying what he said. No, and Rich says Herdman strong arming his way into a job is not new. Make yourself the center of attention. Hey, hire me. And it is intriguing, but I think that Toronto FC can do better. If you're Toronto FC, if you're Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and you think things are so bad that you want to go for the cheap pop, as we say when we talk about things in a wrestling perspective, if you want to go for the hometown, cheer. Hey, our Canadian men's national team manager has come to save the day with Toronto FC. I think Toronto FC can do a lot better. But John Herdman, talking about John Herdman. And so when you see sources close to the situation, traditionally that translates to the individual who's talking to you on background. Sources close to the situation say, it's usually the individual or someone very, very tight with the individual, like an agent. John Herdman and Toronto FC. Question is, what does that say about Toronto FC? Question 2, what does that say about Canada Soccer and its state of affairs right now and its state of play? Those would be the two questions. Why do you jet? You're not feeling like you're being supported. You're not loving me enough. So I'm going. Is this a ploy for Herdman to get more investment for Canada Soccer? National team that's 3 years away from hosting the World. And if you're that fed up and you're interviewing for the Toronto FC gig, is that where things stand right now with John Herdman? But when that came across the bow yesterday, that raised some eyebrows. John Herdman, huh? Okay. All right. Like I said, I think you could do better. Just A lot of folks thinking out loud. Rich, what's your feelings tonight? Leagues Cup down to the Final Four. We get into juice boxes here for this one. Should be very, very interesting. Philadelphia Union, Inter Miami, 7 o'clock, Apple TV, season pass. Be very, very interesting. Monterrey is favored at Nashville. Philadelphia is a dog at home to Inter Miami. Inter Messi CF is a plus 129. Apparently, Messi tweaked his ankle the other day. But he's cool, according to Tata Martino. Inter Miami is a plus 129. Your draw is a plus 276. Philadelphia is a plus 175. Rich is on the way to Subaru Park right now. Obvious nervousness. No doubt about it. That's the right-hand side of the bracket. And then when this one is over, Monterrey and Nashville at Geodis. Monterrey favored, plus 147. Nashville's a plus 177. Your draw is a plus 234. 47 clubs entered. You've only got the 4 left. And this is the analysis from Joseph Lowry over at MLS Soccer. One team will try to make it pretty while the other tries to make it ugly. And in parenthesis, as if we couldn't figure it out. One team will try to make it pretty, parenthesis, Miami, while the other tries to make it ugly, parenthesis, Philadelphia. Match will be the latest experiment in an already fascinating series of soccer science experiments for the Inter Miami team. 5 Leagues Cup games with an evolved roster under Tata Martino, yet to play a team that's either as talented or as committed to disrupting play as Philadelphia. Yeah, $15,000, Rich. $15,000 if you step on the field at Geodis. What do you do if you, I don't know, maybe throw something at a player? Let's see what happens there tonight. Jim Curtin's group can hold the ball for short stretches. They would much rather push forward quickly in transition after winning the ball just inside your half. Basically, yes, the ball has cooties. We don't want it. We want to force a turnover, have a short field, and be clinical in our finish. Union press more, but all than 5 teams in Major League Soccer play the 4th fewest passes per sequence in Major League Soccer. Like to move toward goal quickly as possible, can use an impressive mixture of pressure, compactness, and Andre Blake. Inter Miami, 4-3-3, maintain control. When they have possession, they can dictate pace. Messi's natural gravity and interchanges on the right side. Among him, Dixon Arroyo, DeAndre Yedlin to pull apart the 4-4-2 diamond. Lowry claims it's going to be a 3-5-2. It's a 4-4-2 diamond. But obviously, once the whistle goes, everything goes out the window. Also try to get Busquets the ball on as often as possible at the base of the midfield to allow him to dictate tempo and break lines. How and when Philadelphia apply pressure to Busquets may dictate who comes out on top. Lowry has Inter Miami winning. Philadelphia better suited to take down Messi and company. Lowry's words, still, it just feels foolish to bet against Inter Miami at this point. Monterrey and Nashville. Monterrey likes the ball. Nashville, once again, press, short field, transition, clinical. Monterrey approached the game differently than Club America. That was the last team, once again, that faced a Nashville team at Geodis. Averaging 39% possession. Say that 10 times fast. 39% possession in the round of 16. Could have hit a similar number in this game. Monterrey's group of Mexican national team players, combined with Sergio Canales, leading them from the number 10, will control the ball against Nashville's back 4. Rayados like to play tempo. possession and transition. Monterrey are one of the, if not the most talented teams in Mexico, willing to take risks with their attacking positioning. It says keep an eye on Gallardo at left back, overloads in the final third, rapid counterattacks, combination play. Nashville will have to be extremely disciplined, compact, and focused to avoid trailing. LAFC failed to stay disciplined. We could talk about that one all night. You're up 2-0 with 20 to go. You lose 3-2. 2 goals in the final 10 minutes. Lowry says Nashville's got to be sharp on set pieces, defending in a mid or low block. We've seen some early highlights with Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar combining. Will that continue? Lowry's got Monterrey winning. Nashville's defense-first approach will frustrate Monterrey, as Lowry says. Entirely possible. It's a poor stylistic matchup for a team that prefers open matches. Given that Monterrey have already taken down Tigres and LAFC and a handful of other teams, looks like they can handle whatever's thrown at them. Monterrey will be waiting for a split second of indecision or one missed marking assignment. That's when they'll pounce. Yours goes to penalties, Rich, or the other one? Rich is doing predictions, and the OG is saying be strong. Rich has it going to penalties. So it's going to take a while. Remember, as we discussed juice boxes, that 90-minute draw is that draw option. Oh, Rich says his is going to go for a while. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, that's the early one. Early one, late one. We'll keep an eye on all this stuff. We mentioned transfers. News from Ben Jacobs. Harry Maguire's move to West Ham is now definitely off. As previously reported, Manchester United happy to keep him. Sources close to Maguire make it clear that Maguire respects West Ham, but deny he ever spoke to David Moyes and says he is settled at Old Trafford. That's probably the accurate word to use. Settled. Numbers have come out from Leagues Cup on TV, the Spanish numbers, on over the air. Tigres Rayados, 577 on Unimas, 189 on Tuda so that's what? 766,000. Rayados, 649,000, 650,000 in Spanish-speaking television over the air. Toluca, Minnesota, more than 2.5 times the audience on Unimas than on Tuda. Total of 527,000 there. Querétaro and New England, Unimas and Tuda, twice the audience on Unimas than Tuda, 504,000 for your Leagues Cup audiences there. Players of the week, teams of the week, they're coming out from USL Championship and USL League One. Rich is saying Monterrey over Nashville 3-1. That would not surprise. With the USL Championship programming, USL League One programming, obviously we'll get into that. That'll be up later today as well. And MLS Next Pro, your review preview stuff will get you ready for tomorrow. The other traffic on the day, Thursday, hopefully, Nico Moreno will join us at 10:30. And he will be discussing things from his perspective, Leagues Cup getting ready for the action, Seattle and Atlanta. So Mike and Jason get to hang out with Nico on Sunday night. And Soleil Washington, we'll be able to catch up with her hopefully Thursday night. We'll have that as a 1v1 posted to the network. And we're going to try to catch up with some of our friends from SSA as well, some 1v1s there as well. Players from SSA now playing either in Liga MX or playing overseas that have had some really good first-team weeks. And so we'll catch up with this. What is this, Tom? It's an afternoon. This morning I had some appointments and had to take that. That was the priority this morning, so I figured we'd do a power hour this afternoon, go through all of the news that's fit to print and get everybody ready for everything that is going on. So once again, we talked about Harry Maguire, the move to West Ham off. And we also talked about Neymar and the lovely produced video that was put out by the club earlier today. Other news, fit to print, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid. Once again, we'll go into all of the other stuff. Tuesday gossip. Now that the move for Maguire has abandoned, Moyes apparently is going to turn his interest to Germany and defender Jonathan Tah and center back Odilon Kosunu, both at Bayer Leverkusen. West Ham want to replace Lucas Paquetá in the midfield with Ajax's Mohamed Kudus if an agreement can be reached over a fee with Manchester City for the former. And Lucas Paquetá wants to go to Manchester City. The injury to Kevin De Bruyne might necessitate that. Monaco expected to return with an improved offer for Folarin Balogun, who the Gunners value at $50 million. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Southampton, Romeo Lavia wants to join Chelsea over Liverpool, despite the Reds agreeing to the £60 million fee. We mentioned the Michael Olise sweepstakes. Crystal Palace and Everton interested in Southampton's keeper Alex McCarthy after talks with Luton broke down. Everton have taken Malik Mothersill on trial after the 19-year-old failed to agree to a new contract at Chelsea. There you go, Tom. Brighton discussions over a £15 million deal for Lille midfielder Carlos Baleba and have already agreed to personal terms as they look to fill the void left by Moises Caicedo's move to Chelsea. Liverpool, Newcastle, AC Milan, Juve among the clubs who've also been on Baleba's trail. 4-letter paper. Arsenal's Gabriel is the latest player to be targeted for a move to the Saudi Pro, although the Gunners are under no pressure to sell the 25-year-old. Tottenham have identified Ghent's forward Gift Orban as the player to replace Harry Kane after his move to Bayern Munich. Forest have reestablished a working Forest have reestablished a working arrangement with George Sirianos, the club's former head of recruitment. Villa close to completing a loan deal for Zaniolo from Galatasaray with an option to buy. Newcastle made fresh contact with Arsenal over Kieran Tierney, though the Gunners' $30 million pound price tag could prove a stumbling block. Mark Cucurella, I think he's Cucurella this year. Chelsea defender, also interesting, Newcastle boss Eddie Howe. Manchester United, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Chelsea, and Manchester City all turned down the chance to sign Neymar before he joined Al Hilal. That's from our friends at The Independent. The reintegration of Kylian Mbappe into PSG squad is not dependent upon him signing a new contract. Everton have opened talks with PSG over a loan deal with an option to buy for Hugo Ekitike, but face competition from AC Milan and Eintracht Frankfurt. Jesse Lingard could be set to rejoin West Ham despite training with Inter Miami because he would prefer to play in the Premier League. It's early round of gossip and stuff. Potential move for Bayern Munich defender Benjamin Pavard looking unlikely due to the reduced need if Harry Maguire stays at Old Trafford. Also, FFP constraints in the absence of money Manchester United would have received from a Maguire sale. Eric Ten Hag has always said Maguire's an important part of the squad, happy for him to stay and fight for his place. Source close to the play. For example, at no point has Harry Maguire spoken to David Moyes. Harry remains settled at United, loves the club, and believes he will get plenty of opportunities to play this season. Lyon have signed Irish defender Jake O'Brien from Crystal Palace, 4-year contract with the club. We mentioned the Billy Sharp signing with LAG. Nasser Al-Khelaifi on Neymar's departure, releasing a statement. We know it's the end of the Galacticos. Always difficult to say goodbye to an amazing player like Neymar, one of the best players in the world. I will never forget the day he arrived at PSG and what he's contributed to our club and our project over the last 6 years. We had a great moment. Neymar will always be a big part of our history. I would like to thank Neymar and his family. We wish Neymar all the best for the future and his next adventure, end quote. Augusto has joined Inter from Monza. Carlos Augusto has now joined Inter. Pep does not want to sell Stefan Ortega, who's expected to start in the Super Cup clash with Sevilla. They made interest from Bayern Munich. Joined from Arminia Bielefeld last summer. Quote, it would be a problem to lose him, first of all, because of the quality. We bring him here because Xabi Mancisador, the head of goalkeeping, sent me the clips and said, this is a keeper that maybe we need. I didn't know him. He's playing for a side relegated from the Bundesliga. I saw him and I said, looks good. But since day one, I said, what a keeper we have. You know how many important games he played and how he saved us. We don't want to sell him. We don't want to loan him. We need him. But like many cases, it depends on three parts. Because after that, if we lose Stefan 2 weeks out from the end of the market, we have to go pick up a keeper, and it's not easy now. You have to pay a transfer fee. It's not easy. We want him. I'm sorry, but we want him. Once again, we talked about Napoli owner Aurelio De Laurentiis expecting Luciano Spalletti to honor the final year of his deal, even though he's on sabbatical, amid interest from the Italy national team. Expected to be the first choice to succeed Mancini following the resignation. And Mancini is apparently, probably, possibly, allegedly, maybe denying any interest in coaching the Saudi club. Saudi national team. Dean Henderson remaining at Manchester United unless a replacement becomes available. United had been in talks with Nottingham Forest over a loan with an obligation to buy. Henderson now is an important member of the squad, even more so now that Tom Heaton is out injured on the bench Monday for the match against Wolves. Lower divisions, Middlesbrough double signing. Emmanuel Latte-Lath, Danish defender Lucas Engel. Engel joins from Silkeborg in the Danish Super League, signed a 4-year deal. Latte-Lath from Atalanta for an undisclosed fee, also has a 4-year deal with an option. Leicester have completed the loan signing of Cesare Casade from Chelsea until the end of the year. Genoa had been interested in the midfielder. Chelsea signed Casade last summer from Inter Milan before he went on loan to Reading in January. So you've got those moves that are working their way through. PFA already has their early League One Player of the Year nominees out in lower divisions. EFL lower division nominees. Real Madrid have confirmed that Eder Militao has torn the ACL in his left knee. Suffered the injury in the season opener against Bilbao, undergoing surgery before beginning his rehab. It's the second ACL blow. Remember, Thibaut Courtois was added to Eder Militao. Michael just tuned in. Nice Putter Boy shirt. We're giving it a shot. Mbappe to stay at PSG and is going to extend the contract to 2025, apparently. So we'll see what happens if that goes down. Believe it when I see it. I mean, that's just how I'm looking at things right now. With all of this money floating around, frankly, until something happens, I'm really, show me the paper that it's been printed on. That's what I'm looking at. Show me the paper. Show me the paper, and then we'll get to working. Also on the board, interesting stuff out of the NWSL. Wanted to get into that. It appears that a group led by Laura Ricketts has reached an agreement to buy the Red Stars. Meg Linehan and others over at The Athletic. Laura Ricketts, co-owner of the Cubs, reached an agreement in principle to purchase the NWSL side. Transaction must receive final approval from the NWSL Board of Governors. Group purchasing the team includes a diverse group of Chicago women business and civic leaders. Ricketts is also a minority owner in the WNBA Chicago Sky. Remember, this is a team that's been in limbo for 8 months. And you're hoping that when you bring in these fresh owners, it means even fresher investment. 11th place, lost a lot of players. According to Meg Linehan, over the course of the offseason to other teams, work ahead for a new ownership group, massive project. Good news, the NWSL is on a general upwards trajectory, and Chicago has real women's soccer history to build upon. I've never played Pinehurst, by the way, Michael. I would love to play Pinehurst someday, but it would probably have to be in like January. That's what I'm wearing for those of you who are watching this on Twitch, on Facebook, or Twitter. I think that's right. Yeah, those three. So yeah, Michael's looking at my Pinehurst shirt. One challenge the Red Stars face determining the best stadium solution. Right now, they're at SeatGeek. It's a great place that fits their capacity and what they're looking for. As much as you'd like for them to be at a place like Soldier Field, they won't fill Soldier Field. SeatGeek fits what they're looking for when it comes to butts in seats. But remember, SeatGeek is about an hour southwest of downtown. You can't get there with public transportation. Difficult for younger fans and those that you're trying to impress, that next generation. Fire paid $65.5 million buyout from their lease with Bridgeview in 2020 to move back to Soldier Field. They still play games at SeatGeek, including Leagues Cup, Open Cup, Fire 2. They play at SeatGeek right now. Red Stars have averaged just over 4,000 fans at Bridgeview, last in the NWSL. Fire and Red Stars both train out of Bridgeview. Fire moving into a new training facility in the near west side next summer. Ricketts' involvement, according to Tenorio, at least piques interest as to whether the Red Stars could play some games, even as one-offs, at Wrigley Field, which has hosted soccer matches in the past, also hosting college football. Northwestern will play there for the fall for the third time since 2010. Ricketts, in the release statement, obviously very excited. NWSL equally excited in their sentence in the press release. Remember, back in December, and this goes back to our discussion of the Yates report. Back in December, Red Stars owner Arnim Whistler said he would sell after everything that was said about him and his operation of Red Stars in the Yates report last October, which detailed, once again, according to The Athletic, not just the abusive behavior of Paul Riley and Rory Dames, but the alleged ways in which Merritt Paulson and Arnim Whistler ignored or minimized complaints about coaches' behaviors. Red Stars players released a collective statement back in October requesting Whistler sell the club. The group led by Ricketts includes Deborah Cafaro, partner in the Pittsburgh Penguins ownership group, Impact Engine CEO Jessica Drost-Yagan, Tawani Enterprises president Jennifer Pritzker, and Sidney Dillard, a partner at Chicago's Loop Capital, among others. So, good piece of news. Arnim Whistler finally has the club on the market, and now we can talk about other things that are attached to the future of the NWSL. Very, very interesting stuff. It's about time. It's about blanking time. That's the best way that I can phrase it. It's about blanking time that this is happening. 89th minute goal. Spain advances to the final. We're waiting once again for the extra early morning between Australia and England. We'll see what happens there with that one. Looking at what are the juice boxes in that one? So I sit here and try to look at it really quickly. All right, where's my tab? Meaning the tab that I can look on juice boxes, not the tab that I can look at other things. See, now this is the downside to having a television when you turn it off. You've got to go back to where you were to get everything back the way it was. Come on, man. Looking at the 245s that have already started. Once again, a lot of stuff in the lower divisions in England, including our friends at Wrexham, who are hosting Walsall at a minus 141. League One, we've already got a goal on the board with Bolton. Going back, Champions League, early on, 2:30 start, Sturm Graz, PSV goalless, Servette and Rangers are goalless. You got halftime in Champions League, Braga up 4-1 over TSC out of Serbia. Dinamo Zagreb leading AEK 1-0. Galatasaray leading Ljubljana out of Slovenia 1-0. Also looking at what else is up. Champions League, it is, looks like it's okay. So it looks like Molde and our boys at Klaksvik out of the Faroe Islands are going to the extra 30. 1-goal margin, win by Molde at home. But that means the aggregate is tied. 90+. Rakov leading Aris out of Cyprus. Maccabi Haifa leading Slovan Bratislava. Sparta Prague and FC Copenhagen, they are drawn right now at 1s. So going through the rest of the schedule tonight for those of you that really are looking for things to do and go and look for other places to watch matches, don't forget, as a public service, you can go to Fnatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Get all of the activity from our friends at the BN networks, all of the different leagues that are there. You can watch the Brasileiro if you don't have Paramount Plus. You can go for the fans. You can go Gold TV. You can go TIC. Bunch of different places, bunch of different leagues and matches. Go to Fnatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you can get a lot of the activity that you wouldn't be getting otherwise. Portsmouth and Exeter, we mentioned that one on the plus at 3 o'clock. Portsmouth at home is a plus 102. Exeter, big underdogs on the road. Marseille and Panathinaikos at 3 o'clock. Marseille is a big favorite in qualification in Champions League. Colón de Santa Fe and the Copa Argentina Lanús is a big favorite at a plus 114 at 4 o'clock. And let's see. Primera, Belgrano, Gimnasia Mendoza, Almirante Brown, our friends from there, from soccer over there. Almirante Brown favored at a plus 102. Should have worn their jersey today. Atletico Paranaense and Cuiabá and Serie A, 7 o'clock. Atletico Paranaense is favored at a minus 111. Philadelphia Union, once again, Inter Miami. Inter Miami is a plus 129. Philadelphia Union moving slightly to a plus 175. Your draws kind of stayed the same after 90 minutes at a plus 276. We even had CONCACAF Central American Cup. Cartagenas and Coban Imperial at 8 o'clock, if you can find a place to watch that. Independiente and the Copa Argentina is playing at 8:30. They are favored. Boca Juniors favored in the Primera B. So it's their Boca Juniors B side in Colombia. Then you've got Liga de Expansión. You've got Monterrey, Nashville. Monterrey still kind of hanging around a plus 147. Nashville's moved up a little bit to a plus 177. Central American Cup at 10 o'clock. FAS, CD FAS, and Esteli. Esteli a favorite on the road at a plus 139. One thing I've yet to do is read a promo. So I've yet to read the promo today. We got to figure out. I got to do that at like 30 instead of 54. A couple of minutes left here in the Power Hour. Once again, USL Championship, MLS Next Pro, USL League One programming. That'll come up later in the afternoon, so you can get caught up on your review previews. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have Lucas Panzica hanging out with us. The play-by-play voice in Nashville. He'll start the show off at 9:05 because he actually has a day job. Hoping to have Dylan Butler on at 10 and Bart Keeler coming on at 10:30 for a reffing down here, and Wednesdays with Bart. Thursday should have a 1v1, hopefully with Soleil Washington, that will post to the network now that she is back from representing the Reggae Girls. Nico Moreno coming on at 10:30. 9 o'clock start Friday morning. Our friends from Beyond Goal should be Michael Parkhurst's turn. He'll be hanging out with us at 9:30. And normal at 9, 9:30 Beyond Goals. 10 o'clock will get you ready for the weekend because we've got Weekend Whip Around. Patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. Possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps, because we got games to talk about in Major League Soccer. Atlanta at Seattle Sunday night, which means, in turn, that I will be on the call on Monday's match with Atlanta United 2 and Red Bulls 2 from Montclair State at 7 o'clock, pregame at 6:45 on the network. But Atlanta United 2 ends the week in MLS Next Pro with a match on Monday night at Montclair State, taking on Red Bulls 2. Big matchup for them when it comes to the playoff picture. 6 points out of a playoff spot, 6 matches to go. Need to steal some points on the road so they can close the gap. Time to read a promo. And I've got to find the right music so we can actually do it. So here we go. Roto-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go. It's the Lemonize service. Lemonize service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. I don't know what that means. It sounds good. Turnkey process makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Lemonize service, kind of the environment that we do like and that I do know about. Offers a very green way of getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either underneath the sink or above us in the cupboard. Because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard, you take that masking agent and you spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent, because when you spray it in the air, you're just masking the odor, you're not attacking the problem, like our friends at a Lemonize service do with their proven scientific formula, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go is the website. This is where I grab my pen. Because when you go to the website, lemonize.com, do us a favor, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your issues. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com/Atlanta, lemonize.com/Atlanta, a Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH here on your Tuesday Thoughts at an SDH PM. Just catching everybody up on all the transfer news, all the news, getting you ready for your afternoon kickoffs here on the East Coast, because that means that they're nighttime in Europe. And keep an eye on those till about 5 o'clock. One final round of looking for information before we go. Over at the Telegraph, by the way, Fabinho got a gift for signing in the Saudi Pro League. He was so shocked by it, he dropped it. Video does exist from our friends at the Telegraph. A high-end timepiece widely reported to be a Rolex after his debut. So excited. He got a luxury watch from a fan, and he dropped it. So that's what you get with all of that. Neymar is going to pocket £275 million as he becomes the latest signing in that league, and that's still not going to get me to watch. Still not going to get me to watch because I don't care. $46 million now, according to Mike McGrath at the Telegraph, is the bid for Alexander Mitrovic. That is in pounds. And this was the other thing, and we'll probably get into this tomorrow. All right, so you have the officials that made the mistake in the Wolves match with Manchester United. Those officials were pulled from their next assignment. They were named. Obviously, you knew who they were. But you knew who they were. You knew what happened. They were pulled from their next assignment. This weekend, they are not working. And what I would hope anyway, what I would hope going forward is that when you realize you make a mistake like this and you make this error, yeah, an apology's cool. Yeah, whatever. And it's like, oops, our bad. But Simon Hooper, Michael Salisbury, and Richard West, the ref, the VAR, and the AVAR, will not officiate games this weekend. Yeah, and Michael, this is what I'm getting at. You know that those guys made a mistake because their bosses said so, and they're not getting a paycheck. They're not working a week because of the mistake that they made. And we, like I said, we know who it is. Ref, VAR, AVAR, named. And to Michael's point, we need that kind of transparency from pro on oopsies. Absolutely we do. Because there have been times in the past where you've had officials who made oopsies, and then you wouldn't hear anything else about it. You know, that they wouldn't get a VAR assignment. They wouldn't get something like that. You wouldn't hear anything else about what went down. But you wouldn't get any kind of oopsie plus review and exposure about it. And so I think that, I think that this is where you look at the PGMOL on an oopsie saying, yep, our bad. We apologize. We got it wrong. We can't fix the result. You call the aggrieved coach, which is what we talked about with Gary O'Neill earlier in the show. And you sit there and say, we made a mistake. And you publicly sit there and go, these three from this crew, the two ARs obviously weren't impacted by the decision. But the lead official, your VAR, your AVAR, they get a week off. They don't get a paycheck. And now they are also known for that oopsie. And you hope going forward that they continue to become more vigilant in their decision-making and are more open to what created the oopsie in the first place. And you can sit there and it's like, okay, my bad. Okay, I can go from my head and review what happened. Going forward, I'm cool. I get it. So you got that to look forward to, hopefully going forward. And we'll see what goes down. Before we go, obviously in the overnight, we've got Women's World Cup. Australia, England, for those of you that are going to get up really, 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 really early and watch it. 2 matches left in the Women's World Cup. Australia, big underdog at a plus 231, 90 minutes plus 202. I think that's where it's going. England's a plus 136. England's a plus 136. Sam Kerr. And Serena Wiegman knows that they're more than just Sam Kerr. But England a plus 136 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So by the time our alarms are going off, if they aren't going off in general already, we'll have Women's World Cup. We'll know our final, Spain versus. We'll know our Leagues Cup final from the Final Four tonight. We'll talk about all that stuff. Like I said, tomorrow looks like Lucas Panzica, 9:05, Dylan at 10, unless Dylan is stuck doing stuff and trying to prepare the boss for school. And then Bart at 10:30 for Women's World Cup and reffing down here. So that's your rundown of what's happening tomorrow morning at 9:05, and looking forward to each and every part of it. Thanks for hanging out with us, for doing SDH PM and getting your Tuesday thoughts. Save your thoughts that happen tonight for 9:05, 9:30, 10, 10:30. So we'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning, and we will go through what's going on. I thought that legitimately we had stuff happen. It was fair to discuss. And so we put it all out there for the afternoon, get you ready for the evening and get you pushing. What we really need is an afternoon drive show. We got the morning show. We need an afternoon drive show, and then that'll get you ready for the night. That's what we need, in addition to everything else we do here on the network. So that's grand plans. But for everybody here at SDH, enjoy your evening. Rich, be safe. Enjoy what's going on at Subaru Park. And tell us all about it tomorrow, because we'll talk about it all tomorrow with everything on the board. So for everybody here at SDH, thanks for hanging out for another go-around, another SDH Power Hour. Be back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05. Thanks for hanging out with us. For everybody here, to you there, played safe, everybody. Mucho platial. It's the end of the show, so that means I get to do this.